especially if you're a shopper. I'm a shopper. I love to shop. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Latina Marie. If you are new to my channel, welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a kind of a living in Las Vegas update and a little bit of a Q&A. I've gotten a few questions about living out here, so I want to answer those for you guys. And I could have just sat here and did it, but it's a little more entertaining to get ready with me. So let's get started. But before we jump into this video, if you are not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that button. I know that you have made it this far. You probably viewed some other videos, so just hit the subscribe button and join the family. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when I'm posting. Let's get started. This is probably going to be a pretty long video because I want to make sure that I am giving some good information and efficient information for you guys. My family and I, my kids, my husband and I have been here in Las Vegas, coming from Michigan. If you've not seen my first video talking about Las Vegas, I will link that down in the description or in the cards or somewhere for you to get to. You should probably check that out before you watch this one, just so you kind of have a little bit of a backstory on my situation. But we've been out here for 3 years now, and everything has been pretty good. Our first year out here was a real struggle. We were pretty much just relying on the odd jobs that my husband was getting through the Craigslist guy or whatever. So that situation, I mean, it was a big help. We also had family's help during that time of our first year until October. So in October is when we really started taking care of everything consistently, because I had got my first job through a temp agency. I was working for Konami. I don't know what they call themselves, but it's the Konami company where they make the slot machines for casinos here. And so basically I was putting together the insides of the slot machines. It was a really easy job, really laid back. I really enjoyed it. I was there for a good 5-6 months, and everything was good. And then I started missing work a lot, and then they needed to lay off people. I was hospitalized for a cyst that ruptured on my ovaries. So I had been out of work for like a week, and when it came the same time that happened, they needed to start laying off people. So of course I was laid off, because it's like, not that they thought I was unreliable, but I was already out of work and they were laying off. So that's just how it worked, and I wasn't upset about it. It happens, you know. For a good maybe month and a half, well, right after that, the next week, I started working from that same temp agency at another factory, warehouse, whatever, and I really did not like it. So I needed my husband to kind of move fast to find a different job. He was working a security job at the same time that I was working at Konami, but then he got laid off because of short work and them not needing so many people. And I mean, honestly, I think everything happens for a reason, because he didn't like that job. I didn't like my job that I had after Konami. And so he started looking for a job in the Seagull Suites that we were at. The manager was trying to get him in at another location. So that took about a month after he started inquiring about it. About a month after he started working at Seagull Suites, where we are right now. So he started working here where we live right now. We live on property, and everything was good, and he recently just lost his job. So he's been my husband had been working for the Seagull Suites for a good 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And you know, the stress, it is very stressful working for this company. If you it's easy to get a job through them, So that's why I'm mentioning this. It is very easy to get a job through them. It's not like they just take anybody, but it's not that hard. If you have experience like cleaning or some type of maintenance or anything like that, you know, they're always hiring. They always need people. So because they're building and buying buildings and properties and stuff all the time, Seagull Suites is a huge thing out here. They're like everywhere. They're like Starbucks in California or New York. They're everywhere, and they're expanding. They're not just here in Las Vegas, but I think this is where they started, so it's a huge thing out here. I will be honest, this is my little warning to anyone who moves out to Las Vegas and is thinking about getting a job through the Seagull Suites. They're not, like, it's not a terrible job to have, I guess. I mean, it can be stressful. You have to deal with tenants. At any position that you have to deal with a lot of like messes. If you're cleaning, you know, it's a lot you have to deal with and a lot you have to consider. We did get a lot of benefits. I don't know how much trouble I would get in by telling this, but you know, we got percentage off on our rent for living on property. If you live on any of the properties, you do get a percentage off of your rent. So that's a benefit, and it helps. It definitely does help. It's really not my story to tell why he lost his job, but you know, I can let it be known that he did. He did lose his job, and he got another job right away, so it didn't really hurt us. It didn't really knock us down. To be honest, I think it's the best thing that has ever happened to us, because with us living on property and him working on property, we're around each other all the time, and since he has not been working here, we've grown a lot closer to each other. Our relationship is a lot better. I'm going to start working. Our relationship is a lot better. A lot of things are just better with him not working here, and it's less stress in my opinion. And honestly, I will be completely honest, I do feel like my husband brings on a lot of stress to himself by the choices that he makes and decisions that he chooses to run with, but at the same time, working here has been a stressful situation for him, and it just wasn't good for us. So that's a little update on our lives on living out here. He no longer has his job through Seagull Suites, and it's okay. We you know, we prayed about it. We talked about it with each other, and we worked everything out, and he got another job, and we're perfectly fine. That's one thing that I want to stress about living in Las Vegas. There are opportunities if you want them, you know. Some people don't. Some people want to cry about everything, and they want to take the easy way out, which is by having other people take care of them. But it is very easy to take care of yourself out here in Las Vegas. Not that we ever really struggled in Michigan, but I just know that living out here, we have not had the issues of, like, I don't know, just it has not been a big problem living out here for us. So we're definitely blessed. God is definitely watching over us. We definitely have people praying for us and wanting the best for us, and prayer is working and everything. So that's a bit of an update on our lives out here. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I am transparent and I want to be honest with you guys. I am trying to convince my husband to tell his story of what happened and why he lost his job. I think that is something that he should share. I don't know if he'll do it on my channel or on our channel, but I do think it's something that he should share. So I'm trying to get him to do that, because, you know, later on he'll be able to come back to that video and reflect on how much he's grown or how much he's changed, how much he's improved, and things like that, you know. And that's important, I feel. I think he should want to share that experience with people, and it could help someone. So I am trying to get him to tell that story, because I know people are probably going to be curious as to why he got fired, especially if you live in Las Vegas and you know about Seagull Suites. So now that you have an update of what's been going on, I want to answer a few questions about living out here. Some of these questions did not come from my last video on this channel, but some of the questions came from other videos that I've posted from a different channel, and I've wrote these questions down and I just never got around to answering them for people. I never got around to making a Q&A video or anything. So this is what this is going to be now. So a lot of people were curious as to how we got to Las Vegas and how, like, what our experience was getting here, like our process to get here. So we drove. At the time that we decided we were going to leave, my husband had just bought a car from someone at his job. They were buying a new car. They were in the process of buying a new car, and they needed to sell the car that they had for a few extra bucks. So I think he paid like $500 to $800 for this car, and it was in really good condition. I don't remember what kind of car it was, a Pontiac or something, like, I don't remember. So just, we don't have the car anymore, so I'm sorry, I can't tell you what kind of car it was. But he bought that car, and it was perfect for us, actually, because we did not rent a U-Haul or anything. We just simply packed up our van. We had a minivan and this car that he had just bought. So we packed up all our things in the minivan and his car, and we drove separately. Honestly, it was the best decision because we don't drive well together. I hate the way he drives. He hates the way I drive. It was not a good idea for us to be driving together. So it worked out perfectly. I think it was the best decision. I seriously think God set us up for that, because it would have been a long 28 hours trying to get here together. It is 28 hours if you drive straight from Grand Rapids to Las Vegas. Of course, we stopped, so it took us about, I'd say about 35 hours, okay, hold on. I'd say it took about 48 hours to get here, because we were driving separately. We had to stop for gas more than I wanted to. The only reason we had to keep stopping for gas is because his car is a gas guzzler. Every 2 stops for gas is when I was getting gas. I don't know why this car of his needed so much gas. It just was a gas guzzler. I couldn't deal with it. It was too much for me, y'all. I was so irritated every time we had to stop for gas for him. So a few of our stops for gas, we slept for maybe an hour or 2 at the most. And yeah, so I would say it took us about 48 hours in total to get here. Maybe 50 hours, you know. But no more than that. No more than that. And 2, we had to stop when my brakes just went out for no reason. If you want to hear about that story, let me know down in the comment section, and I will elaborate on that. I think I mentioned it in the last video about Las Vegas here on this channel, but if you guys want to know about that, let me know down in the comment section. So yeah, it took us about 48 hours, 48 to 50 hours to get here in our cars, and it was, to me, it was an easy drive. It wasn't anything like too difficult. The only time that I was like over the drive was when we got into Colorado and we were in the mountains, and they don't have railings on the mountains, and it was nighttime wherever we were. I know we were in Colorado. I don't know exactly where we were, but wherever we were, it was nighttime. It was super dark. There were semis speeding on these mountains. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was terrified. Somehow my husband ended up, I was leading us, but somehow he ended up in front of me and made it to a gas station or a stop or something. And so literally you could go 55 miles on these mountains. I was going 25 miles per hour. It took me forever to catch up with him because I was terrified, you guys. I could not do it. I couldn't do it. I was so scared. I did not, like, my biggest fear is driving off a cliff, and I couldn't do it. Like, I was so scared that I was willing to just stop right there and sit until it got light out. I think that's what made it so scary for me, was the fact that it was dark outside and these semis were speeding through. They weren't really considering the fact that this little minivan was terrified and not wanting to be on the road. It was crazy, you guys. And never again will I ever want to make that drive. Like, that, we'd have to go a different route. Like, because we went through Colorado, and the other route that you could go, which I think would have added 2 hours onto our time, was to go through Mexico? New Mexico? I want to say that was the other route. But we ended up going through the Colorado mountains. So, never again. Never again. I hated it. That was like the worst part of the drive. And other than that, it was a really easy drive. We didn't have any issues other than the car problem, but I will talk about that in another video. I'll go into detail with that in another video if you guys want to hear about that. But yeah, it was a really easy drive. We drove separately. We did not take a U-Haul, and yeah, that's how we got here. Another question that people have been curious about is the schooling out here. Now, my opinion on the schooling out here is kind of complicated. So I've experienced 2 schools out here. Before I got my kids in school, I used to go to open mics at this lounge out here. I can't remember what it's called, and I think it's closed now, like, because it was really dead. It was a dead place. So, but I used to go to this lounge and do open mic nights, and this guy was hitting on me and was trying to get to know me and whatnot, and of course, I threw out that I was married and I had kids, and he was like, "Oh, you got kids?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was telling me that he has a daughter who he sent to Reno, I believe, to live with her mom or whatever, because the schooling out here, in his opinion, was really crappy. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sucks. I didn't even look into that. Like, so that's definitely something you should look into about schooling if that is important to you. And it is important to me because I went to a blue ribbon school in Michigan, which is like a top-notch school. Like, the education is like really on point as far as like in the area where I was. My school was ranked #1 as far as the education. That's not in the world, that's not in the country, that's not in the state, that's just in the area of schools that I went to. So it was important to me that my kids were getting a really good education, and I just was so anxious to get here that I never even thought about the schooling situation. So that was my bad. And well, mostly because I was looking for special arts school. Like, I wanted schools that they could do music and sports and acting and stuff like that, where that was included into the program. And those schools are pretty expensive out here, so yeah, that was my main focus of trying to get them into, and I just completely forgot the alternative if that wasn't going to be an option. So that was my fault. But I've experienced 2 schools out here with my kids. My kids are only in elementary school, so I can't really help when it comes to like middle schools and high schools because I have not experienced those yet. The elementary schools that they've been going to, only one of my kids went to one, and then the rest of them have been going to the one that they're attending now, and I don't have a problem with it. I like the school. I will say one of my twins has a teacher that I'm not crazy about. I don't recommend her. You know, if you could choose what teacher your kids have, I definitely would not pick this teacher. I'm not going to say her name because that's just rude, but I just feel like this teacher would rather have all of her students know everything so that she can do the bare minimum, and that's just my personal opinion. I don't know that that's true. I feel like I've had to put in a lot of work with this twin to get him to learn, and I've given her information and suggestions just like I've done with the rest of my kids. All of my kids' teachers know that incentives is a great way for my kids to do things and get things done, and I just feel like she doesn't care, and it's a little, I don't know. That's just how I am perceiving things, and that's just how I'm seeing it. I don't know if that's really what's going on. You know, there's only so much you're limited to information when your kids are at school and when they're at home. Especially at my kids' age, they're not able to really communicate with me, telling me that the teacher is doing such and such things, you know. So I just have to kind of do what I have to do. But I don't think any of the schools are what that guy said to me. They're not crap to me. I haven't had any terrible experiences with the schools. So to be honest, I think the schools out here are great. They have after school programs to, you know, help the kids, and they have a lot of programmings that they do during class. They have a thing out here called Read by 3, which means you have to be reading at a third grade level by the third grade. I think that's great. I think that they have a plan in place to make sure that all of their students are doing well, and they do testing weekly or monthly or something like that to make sure that they're where they're supposed to be. I think the schools that they go to are really good schools, but again, I've only been to 2 of them, and I haven't had any issues with any of the schools, so I would say that the schooling out here is pretty good. I honestly do think the schools in Michigan are better, but I don't live in Michigan anymore, and I can't compare everything to Michigan, and I can't make myself want to go back to Michigan because something may be better. You know, I can take that extra step to make sure that my kids are doing well. My nephew and my oldest son are the same age, and they're reading at different levels. And I will say that honestly, it's because my nephew is in Michigan and my son is here in Las Vegas. But it also could be that my son just doesn't have any interest in it and would rather do other stuff. I don't know. I can't judge everything on me being in Michigan and being here. Does that make sense? I think the schools are pretty good. Yes, I have to put an extra foot forward to make sure that things are getting done for my kids, but I don't see that as a problem. So that answers that question in my opinion. I hope it answered your question for anybody who was curious about schools. And again, I do think it's a good idea to research about the schools out here, because you never know. How I feel about a school and how you feel about a school could be completely different. And that's just something you got to remember. I'm going to do my brows off camera and I'll be back. So I had someone on my other channel that I used to talk about Las Vegas on ask me if it was true that that Las Vegas men don't like black women. I don't know where that came from. I don't know what that's about. I don't know where this person heard that from. I've never experienced anything that would make me think that. I will say there are tons of Hispanics out here, but it's very diverse out here. You'll find a lot of everything. It really is a melting pot out here because people come. There's a lot of tourists, so you never really know who lives here until you talk to someone. I don't know where that came from. Maybe they heard something from someone who had a bad experience, but I've never experienced anything like that, and it sucks that someone may have gone through that, may have felt that way, may have thought that something like that was happening. So I don't know. The answer to that question for me is no, that's not true. But then again, I'm married, so I'm really not interested in whether that's true or not. But I've been hit on by multiple races out here, so I can't say that that is true. I wouldn't even want to say that that's true, to be honest, because that's pretty sad. Like, are you guys not aware that we're in 2019? I don't really have too many more questions about living in Las Vegas. I like the feedback though. I like that you guys are interested. I do want to let it be known, I do like living out here. I think it's a great place to live. I would not suggest, just me personally, if I could do things over, I would have tried to experience living out here with my husband without our kids. So that means before we had kids. But I don't think it was a terrible move for our kids. They're getting to experience a lot. And I love that. I love that they're not having to experience the terrible weather that's going on in Michigan. My husband kind of misses the snow, so he talks about that a lot, but my kids don't remember it. My oldest says he does, but I don't think he does. I don't really think he remembers the snow and the weather and stuff out there, but he says he does, so I can't say that he doesn't, but he does. But that's just me. That's just me. But I do love living out here. I don't think I was built for the snow, so I think it's a good idea for me to be living in a place like Las Vegas. I do want to move. I don't want to stay in Las Vegas forever. But my husband knew that this was not going to be a permanent move for us. Like, this is not where we're going to live out our lives. I don't ever want to live in California, but I don't want to stay in Las Vegas. The reason I don't want to stay in Las Vegas is because I want to experience. Like, I want to experience living all over the country. I want to experience different things. And I feel like I can only experience different things if I go different places. Like, we went to Tennessee before we moved out here, and I loved it. I had such a good time. We went out there we were there for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, and I loved it. I had a great time, and I honestly could see myself living in Tennessee. Would I want to move there right away? No, but I could see myself moving out there. I think my husband and I would really, truly enjoy it. Now, I'll be honest. There was one experience that we had while we were out there where I was like, no, I definitely don't know if I could live out here because, racism is still alive, and unfortunately there's nothing we can do about that. So I do keep that in mind when making decisions about moving and where I want to live and where it could be the heaviest and where it may affect my kids the most. So that is something that I think about and I definitely have to consider with my family. I'm not living by myself. If I was, I wouldn't care. Like, I can handle that myself, but for my kids to ever go through that will break my heart. Like, I've never had a real racism situation until we moved, or until I went to Tennessee. We went to Memphis, just so that's clear. I don't think I mentioned that, but we went to Memphis, and we had a great time, but we went to one restaurant and the waitress was really rude to us, and it wasn't a rude like I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna be rude to everybody, or I'm just a rude person. It was like clear as day to me that there was more to it, and it sucks that still happens, even from people who never even had to be that way. That's the worst part, when it's people who never even had to be that way. When you grew up in the 50s and the 60s, it was kind of a thing to be that way, but it was 2016 at the time, 15, 16, something like that. There's no reason why we should have been experiencing that. I am so sorry. There's no reason why we should have been experiencing that. I'm going to do my lashes and I will be back. So I hope that I answered some questions about living out here that you guys had. I don't want this video to be like super boring or long or anything, but I wanted to touch base with you guys on what's going on in my life and where I'm at with everything. But I also wanted to answer a few questions, and I'm very willing and open to answer more questions. If you guys have them, just leave them down in the comment section and I will definitely get to them. One of my favorite things about living in Las Vegas is the Strip. I know that a lot of people might say that, like, my favorite thing about going to Las Vegas is the Strip, but there's always something to do here. Even if you don't want to go down to the Strip, you can go downtown Las Vegas and get a great experience there too. But I love the Strip. I love going down to the Strip. There are plenty of things to do. It's not that I am spending a ton of money on the Strip or anything like that, because I really don't. The only time I spend money on the Strip is if I go to get makeup, because that's like, the Strip is like a huge mall. Planet Hollywood has the Miracle Miles Mall, which is actually a mall within the hotel, and it's huge. It is huge, and I love it. There's tons of stores within all the hotels, so excuse me. So there's so much to do, like, especially if you're a shopper. I'm a shopper. I love to shop. So if you're a shopper, the Strip is like the best place to be, and it never gets old for me. I love going. I can look at the same thing every time and I still will love going. I just love seeing everything. But then they have tons of shows and stuff, and they're not the same shows every night. So if you're like that type of person who likes to go out every single night and likes to do things, like, be that active, I promise you the Strip is the place to be. I promise you. We haven't been to any of the shows out here. I'm going to be honest, we have not. We've been to one of the, what was it? It was an exhibit. It was a fish exhibit or something like that. A sea aquarium or something like that. We got free tickets to that. And yeah, that was pretty fun. So there are things to do out here, y'all. I'm telling you. I love living out here. It is quite an experience. And the thing is, you just can't wait for things to come to you. You gotta kind of go get things. So it's kind of hard to focus on a topic and do my makeup at the same time. But I hope you guys did not get like distracted or anything. I hope I gave information. I hope I answered some questions for you guys because I really tried. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comment section. I will be more than willing to make another video and talk about it. Maybe next time I won't be doing my makeup because it's just really hard to talk and focus on this at the same time because I'm trying to be creative and trying to be serious and focused at the same time. It's a lot. So yeah, but I hope you guys got some information and some help out of this video. If you did, let me know with a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that button. Subscribe. It would truly help me out. I would truly appreciate it. And make sure you turn on your notifications so you know when I'm posting. I love you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.